I'm ready for that, don't worry. So, most of us know who Wendel Clark, I think everyone knows who Wendel Clark is in here. First overall draft pick, 1985 NHL draft by the Toronto Maple Leafs. Yeah. 330 goals. And that was in a career that was somewhat abbreviated by injury. So if you look at his goals per game, and this is underrated, pretty high goals per game. I don't have the number, but you scored a lot for the number of games you played. But enough about you.
Let's talk about Ron. It's better. It goes better because when we go down in flames, they only remember one thing.
You guys made the rounds though yesterday, last night. Were you dancing at the Spitfire with Ron too, or what?
You know what? I'm at Kelvington, Saskatchewan.
He won't tell me.
So this is dancing for me in Kelvington. I left that up to the Sudbury guy.
What do you think of Windsor so far?
No, it's been great. It's a typical coming out east. I get here, I land at noon, and get here, we start running around, doing a lot of visiting, seeing everything, and then you tuck me into the hotel at 2 a.m. They weren't even up at the hotel to bring me into my room. But and then get up in the morning and continue, and it's been a blast. That's why we have fun coming out to do the festivities, the functions, and raise money for charity, because it's always a lot of fun. Coming east for me is a lot like going back home west. It's the same type of thing, people getting together, raise money, and when you're doing it for small communities, you're doing it from within, so it's you guys coming out and buying the tables and celebrating and doing it for your own community, or it won't get done, and so it's the same east and west.
Right on. You've been here a lot. You've been on the East Coast a lot over the years.
Yeah, no, I was just out at Corner Brook last week for Hockey Day, and then coming back to Halifax on the 15th for a banquet again. So yeah, back and forth quite a bit. So I only drink out here, then I dry up when I go back to Ontario.
Well, it's only appropriate because you're the ambassador of Canada's national hockey team, the Toronto Maple Leafs.
So when we go out, like in New York, like when Ron went out, it's front and center, Studio 54. In Toronto, they think I don't drink, so I do it out here.
Yeah.
So you keep the image going pretty neat there.
And there's no cameras here, so no.
I thought you guys were like me, still on flip phones. I just changed the whole thing.
Yeah. I want to get serious, but hopefully not for too long. One of the things I noticed when I was doing a little research, and I'd forgotten about this, when you were in junior hockey, you were a defenseman. You came into the NHL as the first overall pick at 18, I think. Parachuted into the biggest hockey market in the world, probably. And at forward. How do you do that? How do you make that transition?
No, I played defense my whole life, and the reason I played defense was simple math. When you grow up in a small town, usually you play with the same 9-10 kids around every team. Everybody gets to make the team. And on defense, there's 3-4 defensemen, and then up forward, there's 3 lines. So if you play defense, you get on the ice more. And so that's why I play defense, is you're on more ice time. And then I played that all the way up through Saskatoon. I went to World Junior tryouts, and it was actually at World Juniors that I was going to be cut, I thought. Remember they used to do the show on TSN? It's probably the hardest thing I've ever seen them do to kids, but it was a couple years after me, TSN started covering the World Juniors, and they'd show kids getting cut at 7 a.m., the last cut. So and usually that's the first time any of those kids have been cut from a team before. Because they've been the best kid in their hometown, then they're the best kid on the junior team. Now they get in the tryout for Team Canada. Now there's a lot of good kids in Canada. So that's probably the first time he's been cut in his life. And they're putting a camera on his face at 7 a.m. as he leaves the coach's office, and he's usually crying or something, because that's the first time he's ever had to stumble. And so I got that 7 a.m. phone call, so I thought I was getting cut. And so I went down to the coach's office. Sherry Bass was general manager, and Terry Simpson was the coach, and they said, if you want to play, because they asked, if you'll play some forward and get your hair cut, tough to tell right now that I had hair, you can come to Finland. Because they wanted to carry, because it was the first time, one of the few times we went to Europe early, and they wanted to take lots of defense in case somebody gets hurt. You always have 6 defense. So the defenseman goes down in exhibition games, which Dave Gertz broke his leg in an exhibition game, so we lost one of our defensemen. So we took 8 defensemen, John Miner from the Regina Pats and myself, went as 4th line wingers and ended up playing. So in World Juniors was the first time I played forward. I played 3 games forward and 3 games defense. Then I get drafted by the Leafs, and they said you're a defenseman, so I just put 2 and 2 together, and they just scouted me 3 games. They didn't go to any other games. They just thought I was a forward. Right. They weren't that good at the time, so it could have been right.
Well, that was an interesting. Wasn't that the last days of the Ballard era?
No, Ballard in his heyday. And the greatest thing about World Juniors and how good we are in Canada as a team, when I went to World Juniors in my year, and I was telling the story about me moving to forward, and Gary Roberts was there. Gary Roberts played on the 86 team. He got cut in the 1985 team. So in 1985, the World Juniors team that I made, Gary Roberts got cut, Todd Gill got cut, Joe Newendijk cut, and Patrick Waugh got cut. So that's it. Yeah, you think of that. Craig Billington, a career backup in the NHL, beat out Patrick Waugh for that tournament. So it's a very tough team to make for that one time. And so I was kind of telling the story to the kids and the people of Team Canada, and Gary Roberts kept looking at me because he goes, "You mean I got cut because they made a defenseman make the team over me?" He didn't know that either. None of us really knew that, and so it was. It's neat, and that's probably kudos to Team Canada is better than every other country. We can put, whether it be Olympics or World Juniors, we can put 2, possibly 3 teams in the Olympics or in World Juniors, and you guys take the best coach and coach the team that he picks, and I'll take the leftovers. And odds are the leftovers will beat the guy that were picked. That's how many good players we have in Canada. So that's and no other country can do that.
They were beat in the final, or might very well at least. So I asked Ron this about being a first-round pick and the pressure, and he just soaked it up and said, "Yeah, I'm where I should be in Manhattan. Bring it on." Was it the same for you? Was it not just first round, first overall, and you're in Toronto and you're 18, and suddenly you're in the league? How do you make that work?
Well, I break it down being simpler. Actually, it's the least amount of pressure you have as an 18, 19-year-old playing in the NHL, because you're so happy to be there. You've dreamed your whole life of playing all the way up and playing in the NHL. So you can have a bad game, get benched, and you're still sitting there. I got my Leaf jersey on. I got my stall in the dressing room right side Boris Solomon. There's no bad day. You're 18. You're finally where you dreamed of getting. And Borio's still there. He might have been at Studio 54 with Ron there. A couple of road games, Borio didn't come home. So there's not as much, because people always say like this year's Leafs team or last year's Leafs team with Marner, Nylander, Matthews, the pressure on the young guys. And I said, really, they have no pressure. They are so happy. They're playing where they dreamed of getting to. So there's no real bad day when you feel pressure. Now you're Bozak, Riley, you've played 7-8 years. Now you understand what it means to lose in Toronto. You understand the pressures. And so they feel pressure because they're the veterans now. So our rookies last year just start to feel, okay, now you're held to that the rookie stuff is over. So as a rookie, it's not as big. And remember, you come from a small town and you move to a city, it's easy. You have all the amenities in front of you. Take a city guy in grade 12, growing up in downtown Toronto, and drop him in Kelvins in Saskatchewan, your graduating class is 4.
Good point.
Take a city person and drop them in a small community, and where you have to make fun, you have to make friends, you have to do community things. Where in a city you don't have to because all the amenities are there. So moving to a city is actually easier because all this stuff is there.
Yeah. Well, I will say, as a Toronto Maple Leaf fan, and I can afford to be biased like I can't be with the news stories because I am a Leaf fan, who saw you in your rookie season, it looked like all of that went straight to energy and adrenaline. Because I've never seen someone come into the league and be as exciting as you were at everything. Skating, hitting, fighting, scoring, everything. So instantly it was obvious that it wasn't going to bother you and that you were going to have a major impact. Almost every shift. I don't say that to everyone I interview, trust me. Did you give any thought to pacing yourself for the long run, like people wanted you to do? Almost from the get-go, it was like, okay, just slow down a little bit. You don't need to do everything every shift with it.
No, you probably play, like Ron says, you play by what got you there. If you change your style and start thinking over what you do, your game's going to change. And if your game changes, you're not any good. So if I had open ice to get time to get my shot away or do something, it's because of how I played physically. So if I stop playing physically, now I get no more time to shoot the puck because they're not going to be scared of you. And so that's a power forward. He learns to get ice. Like Wayne Gretzky, I don't want to go too quick at Wayne because if I go quick, he's really good. He'll deke me, make me look bad. So I'll slow down so Wayne doesn't make me look bad. But what's the worst thing you do to a really good player? Give him more time. So now he really makes you look bad. Where a power forward does it, if you don't know if I'm going to hit you, stick you, spear you, or just take the puck, you go in slower, then I take the puck and shoot.
Yeah.
And that's what a power forward does, or a power defense, and he uses those skills to get room. Where Wayne Gretzky and Sidney Crosby use the skills of their brains and their abilities to skate, they use those skill sets. So if everybody uses their skill sets, you can get, like, Bob Probert didn't become a great hockey player and score 30. Nobody wanted to go within 10 feet of him. So all of a sudden he scores 30 goals, and now you think he's a better shooter, a better skater. Because where he was smart, he used his assets to make himself a better player, and that's what players do when they get to the next level. Is they have to figure out, the players that make it have to figure out, what do I have to do to stay? And some players don't. I want to be the offensive centerman on the Montreal Canadiens. I get drafted to Montreal. I always use Guy Carbonneau and Doug Gilmour as good examples. Guy Carbonneau leaves the Quebec League at 150-point centerman, drafted to Montreal, winning 4 Stanley Cups in a row, and he's going, I can't beat out Jacques Lemaire. So what does he do? He changes his whole game, becomes the best defensive centerman in the league for 12 years. Because he knows I'm not going to be the best offensive guy. Even though I did it in junior, I'm not good enough to do it at the best level. So there's a hockey player. He changed his whole style and then played 20 years or 18 years. So that's a hockey player. Is he knew, he understood his abilities, and then took that to the game.
Okay, so playing like a holy terror, battle of hell, to what extent did it shorten your career, or did it?
Well, I missed 600 games due to injuries. So 100 games year 3 with a back injury, then year 4, year 5, so I missed the next year with left knee, then right knee, 40 games. Broken hands, shoulder, concussions, but that's how I played. If I change that, then year 15, you can't play that way, you're not good enough to play. So you have to take the good with the bad in how you make it. It's because that's what makes you as a player, that's what makes you the asset. So if you take that away, very few guys, like I remember when Ovechkin came in the game and he was running guys over and doing everything, everybody goes, you have to change. Then that first couple of years that he changed, he wasn't very good in Ovechkin terms. He had to learn how to play again because he was used to running guys over and being the energy guy as well as score. So he had to learn how to not do that. And in playoffs, he does it a little more again. But really, that's your ammo to make it more. Now, he's a superstar, so he's got enough talent to do it. Us guys that aren't superstars, you have to do what gets you there. If you change, then odds are you're not going to last. So that's your assets that got you there. And it's always easier. I fought a lot because I played on a bad team. So if you're on a bad team, you're always changing the game. We're down 2-0. Well, let's change the game. If I'm playing on a winning team, you never have to fight. We're already winning 2-0. The coach is going, you're not getting in the fight. We're winning 2-0. Don't wake the building up. So if you play on a winning team, you don't have to fight as much. You're not changing the game. But if you're playing on a losing team, you have to change up the game. You have to do something. If it's at home, get your crowd in it. If it's on the road, get the crowd out of it. Wake your bench up. Do something crazy just to change the game. That's all. Because who knows what happens.
So it's easy for me to say, if you weren't an NHL hockey player, you would have been a farmer in Kelvington, Saskatchewan. Is that what would have happened?
I would have been a farmer in Kelvington, Saskatchewan.
What kind of farmer?
I grew up in a grain cattle farm, so that's Would I have done it right? I bought farmland while I played just in case I was going back. But a typical farming, as you guys know, people, my dad, every time us guys would come home, our farm gradually got bigger all the time. So my dad was doing okay, but he would never say he was doing okay. So at the end of all us guys played hockey, his sons, and he goes, how come nobody came home? Well, every time he came home, he said you had a bad year. You're not making it like it's a rosy life, but then you figure out that all farmers talk like that.
Yeah, it's all that.
Dad, you had a bad year again, but that's a new Chevy diesel you're driving. How come the barn got painted again and we had no money?
Yeah, but there's a cloud over there. It's coming. You know it. A lot of people, and I'd forgotten this as well, that you had close relatives in the league at the same time as you. Barry Melrose, first cousin, yes?
First, second cousin, Melroses and Kosher. Town of 900.
Joe Kosher, right?
Joey Kosher.
Yeah.
Town of 900. We had five guys making the NHL. The water was pretty good there for a decade.
Yes.
But really, and we're all cousins. You guys are from small town. 900 people. You're all going to be related. That's just a given.
So were there awkward moments though, playing against Joe or playing against Barry when he coached against you?
Barry and I, because Barry, think of us, we had all played for, and none of us were fighting each other. We're not the Sutter brothers. And Joey, it was kind of bad, because Joey was probably the toughest guy in the league to get hit by. You might beat Joey, but if he hits you, you break your face. Bob Probert would just beat you up and give you some stitches. It doesn't hurt, stitched up, wipe the blood off, you're okay. But Joey may end your career. That's how hard he could punch. So when players, like when the 1-2 punch Detroit had there, when those two guys were there, guys wouldn't fight Joey and they'd fight Probert instead. And so my first time playing in Detroit, Joey Kosher invites me out to dinner because we're visiting Detroit. And the only three of us at dinner were Kosher, Probert, and I.
That's interesting. Because you never fought.
The next 15 years, I fought Probert 9 times.
But you never fought Joe Kosher, right?
No, Joey and I never fought. No, at one time in the '87 playoffs, Jacques Demers put him on to cover me. But I was the first line winger, so if I was going to fight the fourth line winger, he's taking me to the penalty box. He's already doing his job. So that was, and I'm not intimidating Joey. So that's it. Proby and I that was how we played. His first game back. Remember, Proby was suspended for drugs and then wasn't allowed back into Canada. He was still playing in all the American teams, but couldn't come to Canada. I was the only guy that didn't want him allowed back in Canada. His first game back in Canada, I fought him 3 times in one night.
I don't think he took you lightly either.
No, I didn't want him back in Canada.
But so were you okay with him off the ice? Because at the time it looked like these two are mortal enemies.
No, yeah, off the ice. Proby, I got to play with Proby in Chicago my last year and one of his near the end. And Proby's one of the best team guys. Like you talk to any of his teammates and players and so he was always all about the team. So he was doing what he had to do for his team. I was doing what I had to do for my team. And he was probably one of the ultimate team guys, which got him maybe into the trouble that he got into because, okay, I'll do it, or I'll do it. And so he'd be that type of guy. I never put Probert up as the toughest guy any one time, but at 35, he was still fighting the next 20-year-old coming into the game. So he was a quintessential league mascot for tough guys, because here's this guy, big, tall, 6'5", 225 pounds, half his teeth gone, scratch his ankle without bending over. He broke apart. So every new guy coming in had to fight. Probert's the mark. So he had to fight, and so that's where I put him on a level of toughness that most of us don't fight. Because he, at 35, he was still fighting a 20-year-old. So at 20, we're not very bright. I'll hit the cement wall 10 times with my left and then switch to the right. When I get to be about 28, it starts to hurt. As guys, we get a little smarter, but if I was building a team, I would never have anybody over the age of 28 as my tough guy back in the old days. Because anybody over 28 doesn't want to fight, they want to wrestle. They hope they want to go home and not be hurt. Where the 20-year-old, he's looking to make a mess of you. And that's just the mentality as you age. And Proby at 35 was still fighting those 20-year-olds. And that's a whole level of toughness when you're 35, wife, couple kids, you're going home, and Daddy, how come one eye's closed and you're missing 4 more teeth? And he was the guy doing it, so that's a whole level of toughness at 35.
So now you're hearing whispers that are getting louder that the NHL is becoming the no-hit league. You watch a game on TV, you might not see a good hit the whole night, much less a fight. That's not a complaint per se, but are there times, I don't know if you can answer this because you're still affiliated closely with one of the teams, but are there times when you look at that and go, come on guys, that's not hockey.
Well, yeah, no it is, but that's how the game's changed. It's probably way harder to make the NHL today with 31 teams than it was when there were 6, 12, or 21. Remember, when there were 6 teams in the NHL, all the players in the league came from 3 provinces. Saskatchewan, Quebec, and Ontario provided the whole league with players. The odd person from somewhere else, but in general, that was the 3 provinces that provide 6. Well, now you got 30-some countries providing players. And as the game got to the point of technology, of training, the tough guys were training to fight. So when Bob Probert and Dave Brown they never trained to fight, they were just tough. But in 1998, 2000, tough guys started to train. They were taking taekwondo, they were taking boxing, they were wrapping the rope around a pole and punching it as hard as they can.
And becoming even more huge.
And they're 6'4", 6'5", 270, 275. So the NHL is looking at this going, something good's not going to happen here. They're now twittering in between periods, okay, second shift, we're going to fight. Back and forth in the dressing room. So the NHL is watching all this and going, that fight has nothing to do with the game. You're on your own little program over here with this fighting. So they're getting nervous if something bad happens. So they step in and change the rules of the game because of how society changed. Society doesn't want to see what happened in the 70s with the Broad Street Bullies and all that. That wouldn't fly today in the insurance world. That's not going to work. So that's how the rules change. And now you start adding better coaching. Coaching today is like NFL coaching. There's 5 video guys in a Leaf game in the coach's room. There's a video machine on the bench. And they all have walkie-talkies. And that game is broken down defensively so much that offensive guy can't be offensive. They've taken it out of his hands because of the defensive schemes that are put in place. So coaching's turned that. And if we dummy the game down, and coaches do that because if you lose 1-0 all the time, you don't get fired. You keep your job. You lose 5-0 but want to play exciting because that's fun, you lose your job in 40 games. So coaches have changed the game for survival. And so now in early 2000s, we started tweaking the game with different rule changes. And so once you started tweaking the game, you can't stop now. There's always going to be rule changes every year because we started changing the rule book and that affects another rule. So you'll always see us change. I hope we still have the odd fight and the odd, but that's, I always said, I never got hurt fighting. I got hurt, because nobody agrees. Like if there's ever a fight, you agree to do it, I agree to do it, we fight. So you're not mad if you get hurt. You agreed to do it. I'm skating down the ice with my head down, somebody takes my head off with a clean hockey hit. I didn't agree to get hit. But yet that's not violent, but yet actually that's way more violent than a fight. Because I didn't agree to get hit. And so a good hard hockey hit is way harder. Like what is kind of backwards in hockey today, NHL, there's no hitting. Junior, there's a little more hitting. In minor hockey, they run each other all over the place.
Not to mention high school hockey.
No, high school hockey's the worst. My son just went through it. And it's school versus school, and I'm going to run, because I just come from the football program, now we're going to play in the hockey program, and we're going to run that guy. And we all sit there and go, well, that's Canadian hockey. I said, well, it's not. I said 99.9% of our kids are going nowhere in the sport. But you're allowing them to play that violent. And then when they get to junior, it's totally safe. And the pro hockey is totally safe. But in minor hockey, our kids are dressed like, I taught hockey school, and you've got a face mask, helmet, neck guard, mouth guard. You can't even talk to the kid in the corner. The six-year-old can't hold his head up because the helmet's too heavy. And then when they run into each other, it's a hit, and you don't know if he fell down or if he ran into each other. We've turned them into gladiators. And so what happens is the player doesn't lose respect for the other guy. The player loses respect for himself because you think you're invincible. I'm so protected. I'm going to go to that corner 100 miles an hour, and I'm not slowing down because I am protected. Where when Ron played, or I came in playing against guys like Ron or Brad Marsh or Motor City Smitty, and if I went to hit them, I would hit him, but then make sure nothing bad happened. Because he's got no helmet on. So I was more careful. Played hard, but I wasn't. Now, if you wore a helmet on, I'd shove the back of your head right into the glass. Because I knew I wasn't hurting you. But that's how I turned up the temperature. And so when I played minor hockey, before you call penalties, you're playing defense, and the guy's coming down doing a one-on-one, I just punch the guy in the face mask. Because he'd go like that, and I'd take the puck. But the more equipment you put on, the more violent you play. Football and hockey have it going backwards. Keep adding equipment, we speed the game up, and then wonder why we have injuries. You start taking equipment off, the player starts respecting himself. Hey, that's going to slow down. Like the icing call. Well, we have to take icing away because people are getting hurt. Well, how about you smarten up and slow down?
More accountability.
Well, look after yourself. Listen, I'm going so fast in the first 10 seconds of the first period, and I'm chasing an icing. I don't know if the two of us can stop when we get there. I just let him win the race. It's a whistle. When we start again, nobody gets hurt. So why are we taking the responsibility away from... Okay? Well, I'd like to say you're right, but the game, but the game keeps growing. So the NHL is probably the best.
The next game they get it right, the next game they get it wrong, and the next game they get it right.
We've got Malkin over here. Malkin for the Penguins is coming up.
But if you measure it in revenue, the NHL is perfectly happy with having.
Oh no, the game has never been so good. Like this is the strongest.
Financially.
It might be Mario. He's still talking.
Financially, it's never been.
Financially, it's never been so good.
So if you, I don't know if you do this, but if you look back and said, what do I miss most about, about playing? Would it be the big hit, the big fight, the big goal, the big win?
Well, I played in Toronto. I had no big wins.
93.
What do you miss the most as a professional? For me, and I remember, I can't remember which player that retired ahead of me bumped into me in the year 2000, said, you're not going to miss training camp. Nobody misses getting banged every morning and back at it with the guys. But what you miss is playoffs. April, May, and June. All of a sudden that playoffs. So I missed my first year in 2000. I didn't miss the game at all. And then they played in the playoffs. And that's the energy, your hometown energy in that city that you're playing in is so fun. And that's what you miss as a player. And as a player, if you simplify the game down, like Ron mentioned a little bit about playing off the energy, you could be a little banged up. But if you break it down for a forward, and you think of how simple sports is, especially hockey, the average winger plays 15 to 17 minutes. So in the playoffs, you play every second day. So I tell myself, every 2 days, I got to work 15 minutes. That's it. So for 15 minutes, I put it in my head, I could have a broken arm, it doesn't matter. I only have to really work for 15 minutes every 48 hours.
Right.
If you're in football, it's actually a minute and a half.
So you're not working the
The actual
grains.
play time between whistles and football is actually a minute and a half in a whole football game.
You're not working the grain silo for 10 hours and 30
Yeah, you're
days.
not shoveling grain forever. Well, it's harvest time, so the next time you go to bed is in October from August. You don't have any of those hours. And so playoff time is so fun. You don't practice anymore. Coaches don't yell anymore. The game plans. It's just players doing their thing, and it's every second day. And so that's what you really miss, for me, was that competition. And much like Ron said, that energy in that building to play in. Because when you play, we played a little bit the same, and then you fed off the energy. We were a better player. I wasn't a tactical guy that didn't care what the crowd was doing, and if I got my X's and O's, I don't get noticed tonight. And a defenseman. If you don't notice a defenseman at the end of the game, he played an awesome game. Didn't give it up, he didn't do anything, but he played his 20 minutes. That's a great game where I wanted the energy. That was fun. Went to the World Juniors, we won a gold medal, got drafted to the Leafs and played the NHL. I went home to my high school graduation that year. It just didn't seem like it was that big a deal. There was a couple nights in LA and New York that were probably better than the Kelvin High School graduation party. And so that calendar year at 18, 19 years old, there was no bad. you finally gotten playing where you dreamed of playing, and so that everything, and it was a whirlwind. It went right in. Every day something was going on.
I could go on all night, but I guess I'm not allowed, so maybe later. But, Wendel Clark, thank you very much for this.
Thank you.
Wendel Clark again, ladies and gentlemen. You have an opportunity to do